Welcome to another CEO Wisdom podcast with Thiago Canellas with us. He is co-founder and CEO at EOS Rio. Rio Blocks. He's also co-founder at Block 4 and a whole bunch of other organizations. He's also fellow at Edmund Hillary Fellowship, EHF, and Ghostbusters X, and advisor at a bunch of other companies. So we're going to talk about a bunch of topics today, crypto, Web3, everything in between. It's going to be fun. This podcast is brought to you by podfire.com, which is my podcasting company. If you want to start, scale, be invited to podcasts like this one, or even get sponsors, we monetize podcasting. So we're ROI into the podcasting game that historically has been, oh, let's just start a podcast so I can be on the radio. No, a podcast is actually a huge money making ATM money printing machine. That is if you know what to do well. So I started, as I was telling Thiago, I started podcasting to give back. Then it became an incredible learning tool. And this year I added a capitalist backend to it. So inviting great guests, inviting them to my mastermind, my newsletter, and so forth. And yeah, having sponsors and even offering my agency services to them. So podfire.com if you need help with that. Thiago, welcome to the pod. Can you tell me a bit more about yourself and about what you're up to nowadays?
Sure. Thanks for having me. As I said, it's a great content that you put out. And yeah, so I'm a Brazilian currently living in Taranaki in New Zealand and working on the New Zealand Web3 environment. I'm an engineer with an MBA in corporate finance. I started my career in consulting, and then I quickly moved on to startup. I spent almost 10 years in startups in Brazil in different leadership roles and trying to take the company from 0 to 1. Then I decided to go to work with artificial intelligence and blockchain more specifically and more directly. We started an incubator accelerator builder on the space in 2017, and from then on I'm working on the blockchain Web3. On 2018 I spun off with EOS Rio, which is a infrastructure company, an infrastructure provider for blockchain networks, proof of stake networks, and also with the idea in mind to create applications on top of the blockchain, which was impossible back in 2017. There was no scale there. There was no technology for you to actually create applications on top of the technology. And then we started on the last couple of years, since we now have the technology for real business to run on the blockchain, we started creating these applications, these decentralized applications using the blockchain technology, and that's the businesses that we are involved currently.
Where did your fascination started with Web3 and blockchain?
I think that my first job was at broadcast television, the biggest one in Brazil, and I got fascinated by the model. I didn't know the model, the multi-sided platform, because if you get a broadcast TV, you're watching it for free. And at that point, it was quite amazing to discover that, okay, they are selling our attention to advertisers, and that's the way they make money, and they can make a lot of money like that. And that was always a business model that kept in my mind through business school when I was working. And I decided that I would try to kind of subvert that model and try to hack that model for different things, because this is a model that tends to concentrate revenue and tends to concentrate power into one entity, that is this platform that is accumulating the resources. And I was tinkering with some of new business models based on platforms, and all of a sudden I got contact with Ethereum and what they were doing on top of Bitcoin and the blockchain technology that was created then. And that blew my mind, and I said, okay, this can be really impactful in terms of how we organize economically in the future. So that the fascination becomes from that, and I've been trying to work these decentralized models ever since.
That's pretty cool. And then your move to New Zealand, why did you decide to make that move?
Oh, I think that New Zealand, you have great opportunities. You are in a different market, of course, a smaller country, but very well located in the world, not only geographically, but I think also kind of politically, and to be a bridge against different parts of the world. And where there is a growing sense of the importance of technology and of using Aotearoa New Zealand as a launch pad for this kind of new technology. So I think that it can be a great kind of proving ground for breakthrough technologies that then can find its place in the world. It's kind of it's easier in terms of creating things, I guess, here, because you have great talent, you have access to a great ecosystem, and you have support, and then have this innovation deployed to the world.
What are your top goals this year? What are you focusing your time on?
So this year we have two projects that I'm really focusing on. One is a decentralized infrastructure project, because if you think about the blockchain infrastructure, people are usually not running a node, so they don't have the direct access to the blockchain. So most of the users will have a third party that will provide that access, that will be running a node and giving access to push and pull APIs to blockchain history information. And this infrastructure is currently not incentivized at all. You have a great incentive for the blockchain per se, but you don't have an incentive in place for this infrastructure that's absolutely necessary for people to have access to the blockchain. And we already work providing this kind of infrastructure. We develop history APIs, high scalability history APIs. So we already have an ecosystem, and we are trying to create something that's more sustainable for this ecosystem. We are also working on a decentralized mobility app to be launched later this year, in the beginning of 2024 in Brazil. And I also think that this is a kind of a great point in time, because we proved that this model is very successful, and that people want to do that. They want to be independent and work, and they can provide the work through those platforms. But I think that the way the platforms are structured today, they don't work well for either side. Even for the platforms, you have the platforms losing money, you have the drivers unhappy because they are not making a lot of money anymore, and you have the users that become unhappy because the service levels are down, and you have canceled rides and etc. So yeah, those are the two main projects for this year.
Interesting. And what are you seeing in this current world since the FTX debacle happened? What are the trends? It seems that we're such in a bearish market. Like, when do you think we're gonna get out of that, and where are the opportunities in blockchain this year?
I think that we will get out of this bear market, and when we have more clear regulation environment in the US, I think, because I think that this is what's kind of holding down the market, because people don't know exactly what they can do with the technology without going to jail. So this is something that's very important, and this is something that will affect price, in the sense that once you have a spot ETF, I think that you have like an inflow, a huge demand because you have this institutional players that right now are not allowed to invest directly in Bitcoin and crypto, and that will be allowed to do that. But also on the other side, once you have clarity of what you can do regarding to tokens and what are real like utility tokens, and that is kind of an accepted business model and kind of separates that from business models that are clearly like scams or securities. I understand that once you have this, it will be much easier for entrepreneurs to create things on blockchain, because right now, and I say for myself, I always tell my lawyers, I don't want to go to jail. I want to be far away from anything that can be interpreted as something out of our laws. So it's hard to work in that environment currently, because even if you try to do and to design a token economics that's not made for kind of ripping off people that are just trying to 10x their money, you never know what you can do because it's not clear. So I think those two things will be the triggers for the bull market. One is like just liquidity coming in, and I think that price creates that the story that everyone wants to follow, and then this gives this will put a light on also on other projects.
And in hubs like UAE, Dubai, and so forth, we're seeing lots of development in there vs US regulations and not being too bullish on blockchain and crypto. What are you seeing in that part of the world in the Middle East?
Yeah, I think that the governments and the institutions, they seem much more constructive in terms of finding an adequate framework that will protect people, investors, and participants on those networks. And also in New Zealand, that been initiatives to create clear boundaries for web3 businesses, and a lot of interest here for this kind of technology. So yeah, I think it's just having a more constructive approach, and I think that those nations, they are seeing the opportunity also to kind of leapfrog Europe and the US in the adoption of this new technology, because if they are kind of fighting the technology in other places, people will be drawn to those places where you have more clear regulation. It's not about allowing people to do what they want, anything they want. It's just about stating the rules clearly, and you know that once you start a business and you have like this solid framework, you are okay to go. So yeah, I think here it's definitely a place to go when you're talking about Web3 innovation and development.
Right. And you run a bunch of companies, EOS Rio, so you produce ETH. I can see, like also Hash Digest and so forth. And well, all the companies that you have, Rio Blocks, with that is, how do you manage your time between each, and how do you generate money with those?
Nice. It's a great question. I don't know, but no, what we actually have is that EOS Rio is an infrastructure company, so we provide validation services for blockchains, and it was almost something that we had to do back in the day, because there was no technology that would scale back in 2017. So we went kind of down level to the infrastructure and start building that. So based on that, this gives us knowledge for the blockchain development in general. And what we do is that we partner with business specialists in each of the verticals that we want to get in. Like this mobility platform, we have one of our co-founders is the co-founder of the first cab hailing app in Brazil, and the other is the co-founder of payments processor. So what we have is that we can bring our expertise of designing the decentralized applications and blockchain development, but we are also connecting to people that know the specific verticals that we want to come in. We don't think that because we know Web3 and how this works, that we can automatically be specialists in the mobility business. It's not how it works. There is really hard work getting into creating this kind of platform. So for each of those businesses, we work with market specialists, and we partner with other startups or individuals that want to make such an impact.
And then you're a fellow at this organization that we talked about, and Ghostbusters X, which is an interesting name. The first one is Edmund Hillary Fellowship. What's a fellow? How did you got that, and what does it implicate?
Yeah, I'll start with the Ghostbusters because it was almost like a joke. We had different teams. One of the things that I found great about being in Web3 is that you get in touch with people from all over the world, and you create like this real global team with different teams, actually, because we partner with these other block producers from around the world, and we created different solutions, and we worked to launch networks, and that's the Ghostbusters collective. The Edmund Hillary Fellowship is a completely different thing. They are focused on creating impact from New Zealand, and so I joined them, and they attract global entrepreneurs to work on New Zealand and to work on these huge problems, but based in New Zealand right now. It's tackling the issue of regenerative finance, of regenerating the ecosystem, and just plugging people from different backgrounds to try to create this innovative solutions from New Zealand to the world. So it's a great program because you can connect with this highly innovative and highly talented individuals to create these new projects. So I'm in talks with some of them. I think that we'll have great initiatives coming out of that also.
What did you learn from starting your own incubator? I want to start mine. Any lessons or insight that I should take note of?
I think that the biggest conflict that I felt there was the structure versus the instinct. And some points, like it's important that you have a structure so that you will analyze the business that comes to you and try to pick the best and pick the ones that you can really have an impact on. On the other hand, is also no business will come like perfect to an incubator at that stage. And so this is also about the instinct of how you can make it better, and what will work long term and what won't, what you can fix in a business and what you can't. Like if you have a business that you think the potential is great and awesome, but you feel on the first meeting that you cannot work really well with the founder, it probably won't work for you, despite being a great business. On the other hand, if you have a business that you think is shaky, but you have a great founder that you believe in him and that you did due diligence and you think this is a great person, maybe it's something that you just start doing and then you pivot, but you are with great people on board. And in the incubator, you are really working with businesses that are starting. So it's different from working with startups that you are funding, maybe a Series A or something like that. They will need much more hands-on help and like strategy sessions and sit with them and trying to help. So yeah, I think that to create the structure, but have in mind what you want to do clearly and what you can what you can bring to the table with the companies to understand that it's one, is it a great company, and two, can you actually add value to it?
Where can we find out more about you, Thiago?
Oh, you can follow me on, I think LinkedIn and Twitter are the best options, and just look for eosrio.io or rioblocks.io. Rio the city, because we were born in Rio, and blocks as in blockchain.io.
There you go. And I'm Charles Cormier, host for another founderwisdompodcast.com. If you want to start scale, be invited to podcast, you can go to podfire.com.